Do. I think I forgot to do a thing. Hold on. Got for. All right, get this open so I have this. There we go. Now that's properly fixed, I can adjust these now. Get this. Make sure this is running in the background still. And then we got this. So yeah, there we go. Didn't realize I had something broken, but yeah. Welcome to the open world game, the open world game. This is an interesting game to say the least. I've done this once already, so it's not that bad. But yeah, let's just jump right into it so you guys can understand exactly what this game is. Now I will give you a warning. There's a lot to this game. Like a lot to this game. And the main thing I need to do is try and figure out some things, because technically speaking, this game would be hilarious to speedrun. Whenever it decides to load. Also, have fun with the camera. Wee! Because, you know, you could totally do that. There we go. Frick. And beat the game. Yeah, I don't... Wait, I can move around in the background while this is going on? Yes, I can. I have no idea where I am, but I just moved around in the background. Yeah, I was like right there. Right, yeah. So now our main objective is to get everything else. And trust me, there is a lot to this. Oops. There we go. Too fast. There you go, there's like the zoomed out of everything. I think I have enough for grabbing the thingy thing. Eh. Nope. I literally needed one more skill point. Alright. Well, we got the beginning of it, dealing with bandits. That's my favorite freaking side quest. Because they got parts to it. It's hilarious. Yeah, by the way, I will be skipping the fish for the time being. Just because it's not as easy to deal with fish. They're easy to find. I just don't feel like dealing with them. Because there is a tree I need to go down to go grab the thing that makes it easy to get the fish. Than what they are. Frick. Nope, did that the wrong way again. Yeah. Also, water is not fun to deal with currently since it will hinder our movement. So we're also going to be avoiding that for a little bit. We only have 3 skill points currently. We're going to need a little bit more than that. If I remember correctly, there is something this way? Yeah, there we go. Alright, now we can start doing this. Oh, there's anything there, so we're good. But there is the eyeball. Which we can go get those in the heart on the way. There will be a lot of silence for most of this probably, mainly because there's just a lot. There's a lizard. We're gonna avoid it for now. And now we're gonna go through Skyarch a little bit. And that basically just tells you how much there is. Fish, frick. Okay, 12 should be enough, I think. There we go. Now we don't have to worry about water. We're gonna get this so I can get the that one, which we need 6 more points on. There is so much in the city. Mainly because I know where it is. Because I don't know why, but like, this place was the easiest for me to remember where things are. Because it's mostly compact. Which makes sense because it is a city after all. Yeah, I did miss one. Got it. So now we don't have to worry about water movement. Which means I could actually get this one. Grab this, and that's all we need, so we need to start going over here. Hello, Link. Yeah, no, there are a lot of new games in this, on Steam in general. This one's hilarious. This one has so much to it. It may not look it, but it really does. Ah, fudge. Look at all that. Hit the wrong button. Yeah, I'm gonna be saving like all of the reading bits for a little bit later. Cause that's gonna take a while. I'm telling you that right now, that's gonna take a good while. There it is. Because wherever we end up right now is wherever we end up right now. I'm not too worried about things currently. Just trying to get as many clusters as I can. Is this the angry dude? Nope. The boredom entry, yeah. And now we're just gonna go over here real quick. I think we have enough for getting some of the things to make it easier. There we go. Now we should be good. The more loot entry. You were watching the entire Heart Gold Nuzlocke. Oh wow. Yeah, no, that Scyther really made me upset. I can tell you that right now. That Scyther made me really upset. Ah yes, the question mark off in the middle of the mountains. Let's get it. Cliff hopping entry. Ah yes, that's also another hilarious thing that definitely a lot of people would do. Okay, I think I should have enough to grab this. Which one? This one. Now we just have to grab these two. And I need like 7 more points. I'm almost to the point where I can go get fish. I haven't played a normal game of Heart Gold or Soul Silver, so eh. Ah. Target practice. I believe that's a Breath of the Wild reference quest. Alright, now I can grab this. Alright, we can start getting fish. Which is good timing because of where I ended up. There we go. There's now almost no such thing as a challenging fish. Okay, no more fish. Alright, let's charm the fudge out of that prince. There we go. And then there's Duke Mighty, the undefeated God King. Don't worry about him. Just double check these places. Yeah, there we go. And on the outskirts, as I suspected. You say that there's always bigger fish, but the thing is the bigger fish are already caught. By us at that point. There's a 15-pound fish, which is an Ocarina of Time reference. The Bridge Master, he's another fun quest. I didn't see anything there, okay. we go, we got squid. And also don't worry about us just casually swimming throughout all the rivers in this land. To get all of the fish. Including that rainbow trout. Also, don't worry about sirens. Alright, I think we have enough points to just get everything else. Do-do-do. And done. Alright, now let's start getting our tracking on. One at a time. That's a little bit too far. We're gonna go over here real quick to get the fishy fish. And that's the only fish over here? Yeah. It's the only fish over there. Yay, we caught trash. Alright. Let's go quickly clear out the caves, because the caves are easy to clear out. I wouldn't be surprised if I did, to be honest. I can't remember if I do or don't. That's all. Because fish-wise, we just found a shelled fish. And we are almost max level 2. Yeah, by the way, welcome to the most boss roomy-ish looking room ever. Never trust glass. Made of 90% diamond and 90% nonillion. I mean, that could be it. But who knows? We got a feather in a jar. The moon? I know I'm gonna need to backtrack a little bit. Also, out of curiosity, why are we dividing the moon and the earth? And by the way, with that exclamation point, we did just complete the main quest. And fish, cause why not? Got it. Let's real quickly yoink this fish. There we go. The oil fish. There we go. And we have completed every single beacon. Random fish out of nowhere. Let's go get it. It's a sandfish. Oh, would you look at that? They don't have to be in water. It's like a stunfisk. Or the little one. Oh, is it a little one? No, it's not. Galarian, there we go. Galarian sunfish. Stunfisk. I bet they do technically have a Pokemon based around sunfish, so. I was gonna say, if they had a Pokemon based around a sunfish, that'd be interesting, but they already have that. Alright, legendary metal slab is able to be reforged. But yeah, I think we're good to fast travel now. And grab everything else that we're missing for the question marks. So I know most of the fish are gone. Not all the fish are gone, but most of them are gone. It's a broken wheel. Wheel. I don't know why I like saying it like that, but I do. I really did skip a lot of this area. There's a dealing with even more bandits entry. I love that. That's still going to be my favorite entry in this entire game. I have a feeling I know exactly where this question mark is going. It's going to near, probably, yeah. Just gonna make a quick turn. Yeah, there we go. Fairy Queen. And now let's get our, yep, there's our Pokemon reference. And here's the other fish. We'll go pick that up on the way. It might be closer if I do this. Yes, it was. Where's the next one? This way. Pick this up on the way too. And you know what? Let's grab this. Alright. Next one, sites. Which one I'm literally missing the only one in here. Cool. And I'll just go down and grab that heart real quick. And then teleport back. Now let's just change our skin real quick to the one that Gray got us. Now let's see where this fish takes us. If it goes past the border, I'm teleporting. It does not go past the border. I teleported at the right spot. Tis was right here. There we go. All fish are done. Heart to heart is over here. Very much way over here. Alright, next is these. Which means they're gonna teleport. There was one that spawned down here, wasn't it? Yep. Yep. Right there. Grab that feather on the way. The legendary stick is now ready to be reforged. Yay. Oh, I saw that. There's a rock feather. There's another Legend of Zelda reference. They do also have Final Fantasy references in here. Just grab these things real quick. Because they are, in fact, on the way. There's the bunny mask, which is, I believe, another Legend of Zelda reference. No, I think that's a Smash reference. I think. Or wherever the bunny ears in Smash came from. Bandit Fortress Nimburo Trio. I believe I'm near the area. No, I'm not. No, I am. Okay, let's just get this reforged real quick. There we go. Now, where is it taking me now? I have everything? I have everything. Alright. Let's just start teleporting. Because we can reforge all of them. Well, I can easily get to the one in Sky Arch. The one in Aska, I had to basically teleport to Argonia to go get it. There we go. Leave on and just start sprinting this way. Yeah, let's just quickly swim across the entire lake real quick for this. There it is, right in the corner of a fudging map. Now there's two over around here. I can go get. There's our stick. Now we need to go backtrack to go get our sword. To over here. And now we teleport to over here. This is very far down. There it is. Yoink. Alright, we're done that one. We just have these left, and the regions we are not done. There's one thing in the Infinite Wastes we need to do. The caves are done. Sky Arch is done. Which means I'm probably going to have to teleport here. Yep. There's Bandit Fortress number 1. I'm pretty sure we've already taken care of 2 and 3. No, we took care of 2, I think, already, which means we got 1 and 3 out of order. We dealt with the second one first. And again, we are max level, so the game is not hard at all. Even though leveling doesn't necessarily mean anything in this game. It just changes a few things slightly. It's just as long as you use your skill points. Because all the leveling does is like, once you hit level 65, 66, you have all the skill points you need. So after that, leveling doesn't really mean anything other than getting the achievement for reaching level 100. Which does help with 100%ing the game. And now let's see how well I could actually do a little bit of a speed run of going through all of this stuff to get all the achievements. And then I'll go back and read all of it. I had a feeling I missed a fudging feather in the forest. I always miss this feather. I don't know why, but I always miss this feather. There's one more feather I'm missing. Where is it? That way. I know exactly where it is. It's in here. Yep, I knew it. It was in here. Wind. Holy Jesus. Stop screaming wind. Or it glitched. Because it says it's off the map. Okay, there we go. Fixed it. Alright. Now let's teleport to Eska, because we have nothing else but Eska to deal with. One lizard, 3 masks. Ancient Hero's mask. As we're just following the contours of the mountains. Aw, frick. Alright. The Fierce Cricket Mask. Oh, here's a lizard. Let's go pick it up. There we go. And our last mask. We have done everything to collect in this game, which means we can change our skin to blue! We could be a blue man. Or woman. Doesn't really matter. We don't need to track anything anymore. We have done everything. Our achievements, we are missing one achievement, which we just have to do another achievement for, which, let's get these all open real quick. And now just scroll all the way down. Alright. I am going to be missing some of these. Somehow I went back to the feathers. Okay. Those are done. Okay, grab that real quick, because that's one I missed. Okay, that's done. Beacons are done. Relationships are done. Fish are done. God damn it. Lookouts are done. This one's gonna be the longest one. Oh boy. Almost there? Question mark? Yeah, we're almost there. We're in the A's. Okay. Almost got through all the side quests. Which one did we miss? A couple. Alright, we got everything there. Almost got everything there. And check achievements. We have now gotten every single achievement in the game. Alright, back to our journal. Let's start reading. I'll start from the bottom after I open everything a second time. I'll have to start from top actually. Chapter 1. Let's begin. You arrived at the promised meeting place, the cave by the sideways tree northeast of a prefecture. You guessed the tree was kind of sideways. No one was there, so you were unsure if this was the right place, but you were promised answers to how you arrived in this nightmare of a world. You kicked around outside the cave for half an hour before deciding that the tree was more of a diagonal and began to leave when there was a rustling close by in a bush. You glanced over to see the eyes of a frightened child gazing suspiciously at you. You gave a gentle beckoning motion, and he skittered out to you. The man you were supposed to meet had been taken captive in Leodum. Before you left, the child muttered something about it being dangerous to go alone, and gave you the weapon from the cover art of the game. Kind of looks like a compass. Chapter 2. You traveled to Leodum, and were suddenly arrested. English. Also in custody was a man painted with stone and wearing a decorative claw, the man you've been searching for. You were both brought to a chopping block outside of Leodum to be executed. With no escape in sight, you lay your head down and accepted death. Just then, the mighty roar of a dragon pierced the heavens and sent everyone into a state of panic. As the dragon laid waste to the lands, you and the man painted with stone made your escape, protected from the fire and the flames by your plot armor, and you and your companion reached safety. The clawed man thanked you for saving him and reintroduced himself as Gesh. You made yourself a sandwich while he told you all about this world. Exuvia, the world without a home. The world Exuvia is full of the unfinished, but Gesh and his companions hope to bring change to the world. If you want to know more, you need to return to the starting cave, which is actually the secret hideout of Gesh's society, the Restorers. Chapter 3. Waiting for you at the cave by the angled tree was a woman named Sella. I'm not sure if it's Sella or Sel. I'm just going to say Sella. Somehow she was expecting you, and she guided you into the Restorer's hideout, the Rising Sands. Gesh was there and introduced you to the rest of the Restorers. He then told you about the great mist dragon that has been terrorizing the land. He wanted to find out more about the dragon and directed you to travel to Absentee to beseech the ancient historian for information. You were free to go wherever you wanted, but to travel to Absentee and meet with the ancient historian, you must return to the Rising Sands and set out with Hroth, the halfling. Chapter 4. You travel to Absentee with your fellow restorer, Hroth. On the way, he told you about how Gesh first convinced him to join the Restorers. He also confessed that this was his first time outside of Arogania. I keep on wanting to say Arogania, which made you puzzle why Gesh picked him to be your guide. Inside the town of Absentee, you found the ancient historian, a humble-looking dwarf sitting in a stupor outside a local inn. As you went to speak to her, a group of out-of-practice assassins surrounded you. After dispatching the mysterious assassins, you and Hroth speak to the ancient historian. She introduces herself as Varys, and promised to tell you all you wanted to know if you would put her up at the inn for the night. After paying for a room and board, you sat down to dinner and asked about the Mist Dragon. Varys told you that the dragon is most likely Volfgar, the oldest being of Exuvia. A great dragon is only one of many forms of Volfgar. Forms of Volfgar has been depicted as over the years, but the most common. In the morning, Hroth convinced Varys to travel back to the Rising Sands, where you must travel as well, eventually. I am bad at this reading, but I'm trying. Chapter 5. You arrive back at the Rising Sands, alongside Hroth and Varys, only to find a hideout empty and in shambles. You found an injured elf hiding in the shadows. It was one of the restorers you have met before, Ryue. Varys cast healing magic on the elf, and she sprung right up and explained what happened. A group of spotty assassins that had looked like the ones that attacked you and Absentee attacked the hideout. Gesh and the others escaped through a secret tunnel in the back that leads to the city of Skyarch. Ryue got hit in the leg with an arrow during the attack and was unable to make it to the tunnel before they had to seal it off. She had been hiding ever since, waiting for you. Ryue was a Skyarchian, has a Skyarchian device that she can use to contact Gesh, and she'll wait for your return to the Rising Sands when you are ready to find him. You had Ryue contact Gesh, who immediately answered. Through the static... I should have read Chapter 6. Chapter 6. You had Ryue contact Gesh, who immediately answered. Through the static of a connection, you could hear a very stressed Gesh tell you that their arrival in Skyarch did not go as planned. He urged you to head to Pin Tower to meet as soon as possible. You, Hroth, Varys, and Ryue traveled to Skyarch to try and get directions to Pin Tower. You looked very out of place in Skyarch. You also struggled to find a person who you could ask directions from, as everyone just tried to sell you something. Eventually, someone offered to show you the way to Pin Tower, but led you into an ambush by some thugs with stun batons that quickly overpowered you. You woke up to find yourself in a small prison with 6 cells. In the cells, there were other restorers, Hroth, Varys, Ryue, and Sela. The last cell was occupied by a mysterious hooded figure. Sela loudly whispered from the cell next to you that Gesh was on his way. Soon after, Gesh himself appeared at the bottom of the stairs to free you. As you made your way out of the cell, the hooded figure reached through the bars and grabbed you. "Don't trust him," he hissed in your ear. Gesh came to your aid, striking the hooded figure back, and you both left him behind. Safe outside, the restorers decided to split up and return to the most likely safe again, Rising Sands. Chapter 7. You met up with the restorers back at the usual hideout and found out that the time spent in Skyarch wasn't entirely a waste. Gesh tracked down the headquarters of the assassins that had been plaguing you and Sela and Sela spent some time spying on their organization. The group is actually a cult called Vothians, who worship Vothgar and are trying to restore it to its full power. She also heard some vague information about a magic ring somewhere near the tranquil vacation town, Lake of Fire, that has something to do with Vothgar. Gesh decided that the restorers must be the first to get the magic ring, and sent everyone to the Lake of Fire. Once there, you met with an old friend from Sel, a fire elf named Enel. The, the Lake of Fire is somewhat infamous for its thriving community of artisans that produce many peculiar magic rings, and Enel has one of the largest collections in town. He showed you one particularly excessive ring that looked like a loop of diamond scales and explained that while the potential magic inside was vast, no one yet could determine the purpose of its magic. It sounded like the kind of ring you were after, so you persuaded Enel to join up with the restorers. You all took the ring and began your journey back to the Rising Sands. Fortunately, the main quest chapters are just the longest. The other ones aren't that long. Chapter 8. You found the restorers back at the Rising Sands, waiting for Gesh to return so they could tell him about the ring. In the meantime, they had captured a mysterious hooded figure who was snooping around the fallen tree that marks the entrance and had tied him in a corner. It was the same hooded figure you left locked in a cell back in Skyarch. His fortunes did not improve. The man begged to speak to you and told you his name was Hen Thaman, one of the beastmen from the Infinite Wastes. You call him Thom. He came to warn you about Gesh, who he said visited the Vothian headquarters many times, and has possibly been one of them all along. You initially scoffed at the notion, but then Sela ran in to tell you that Gesh had just been spotted leading an army of Vothian back with him. You confronted Gesh, and he revealed that Thokar is actually long dead, but his power can still be harnessed. The ring in your possession is called the Dragon's Eye, and this is one of three Thothian artifacts that can be used together at Vothgar's shrine near the mist to imbue their wielder with ancient power of Vothgar. The two other artifacts are stone scales and the mist bearer claw, which Gesh has been wearing the entire time. He demanded the Dragon's Eye so that he could ascend to be the great ruler of Exuvia, that he was always destined to be. You tried in vain to resist him, but you were struck down and lost the ring. As your consciousness faded, a blinding flash of light covered the battlefield, and you felt yourself being lifted up, hopefully being carried back to the Rising Sands. Chapter 9. You awoke to find yourself surrounded by other restorers who were all ecstatic to see you awake. It was Thom who blinded the Vothians with a common beastman weapon and aided in your escape. Gesh apparently had no time to waste and set off west with his army to the shrine of Vothgar. Battered and tired, you managed to rouse the others to race after Gesh and stop his sinister plot. Hroth, Ryue, Sela, Varric, and Nell, and Han Thaman all joined your surprise counterattack against the Vothians. Amidst the chaos of a battlefield, you make out Gesh running back into the shrine, and you chased after him. You could not stop him as he made it to the inner sanctum, where the shrine gives way to the deep void of mist. In that moment, when all seemed lost, a large dragon roar shook the air, and your very bones. A gigantic dragon appeared out of a mist, roaring again, and knocking everyone off their feet. In one large bite, the dragon ate Gesh, and he was gone. The Vothians soon retreated, and the restorers stood victorious. Filled with excitement, shock, and abounding camaraderie, you decided the next step is simply to go out and explore Exuvia, trying to make the world a better place, with a world full of discoveries ahead of each of them. Everyone returned to, no doubt, the rising sands. Okay, I need to take a drink before I continue reading. Chapter 10. This was the one that we picked up last, and much further on. Basically, this is like the extra bit of story that we end up getting in the game. Chapter 10. You receive a letter from Hen Thaman with directions to meet him in the infinite wastes. Reunited, he greets you warmly and tells you that there is someone waiting to meet you. You travel together to a shrine near the mist that bears the telltale architecture of a Vothgar shrine. At the edge of a mist, Thom calls out to the void and is answered back by a loud roar. The same gigantic dragon that ate Gesh on that fateful day swoops out of a mist and then shapeshifts down to the size of a man. He is wearing the 3 artifacts of Vothgar, and his skin is like ornate scale armor. He introduces himself as Vothgar. Apparently he had been watching over you for some time and thanks you for returning his artifacts. Even though he was really watching, he'd know you didn't do much. Yeah, that's a weird sentence. Even though he was, even if he was really watching, he'd know you didn't do much. There is a great war amongst dragons happening inside the mist, and these powerful artifacts are helping him once again gain control over the world of dragons. Vothgar says he sees a lot of himself in you and is glad that you could finally meet. He will continue to watch after you and takes joy in your success. For now, though, he must return to the mist. The realm of dragons is in chaos, and without his guidance, that chaos could spill into the already struggling land of Exuvia. With words of encouragement, Vothgar morphs back into his mighty dragon form and takes to the skies before gliding back into the mist. Amazed by your newfound friend, you continue your travels in Exuvia. Okay, side quest time! A quick grind. An old weathered-looking man told you he'd give you his most prized possession if you brought him 100 maple syrups from hunting walking green mushrooms. You were pretty sure the syrups had about a 0.013% drop rate, but still put in the work and brought him the syrups. He gave you a glowing scroll that you have no idea how to use. A quick trade. You found someone who would not stop asking if you had a sphere row. When you told them you didn't understand what they meant, then only repeated the question. They only repeated the question. Maybe it's a bit far-fetched. But perhaps you'll run into a sphere row. A sphere row is later and can help this person out. You know what? I just realized that this is a trade quest based off of frickin' Pokemon. I don't know why it took me that realize. Reading it out loud is what made me realize that because of Sphero. And the fact that the comment is it may be a bit far-fetched. Alright. Abandoned outpost. You found an abandoned outpost with plenty of loot for the taking. Acrophobia. You met an elf with a fear of heights, which really sucks considering they live in treehouses. They refuse to make a house on the ground, so you helped ease their fear a bit by making a comfortable platform to land on if they ever fell. +5 house building. Ancient manuscripts. A noble requested you find some ancient manuscripts. You found the manuscripts and brought them back, only to realize it's in a language you both can't read. You were rewarded with some gold and a laugh. Assassins 1. You went to help the traveler on the side of a road, only for them to show their true identity as an assassin and attempt to kill you. You were easily They were easily distracted and dispatched. You were rewarded with some bananas. There's the Breath of the Wild reference. Assassins 2. You saved a traveler who was being attacked by an assassin. You were rewarded with some gold. Assassins 3. You were ambushed by assassins but managed to defeat them unscathed. They weren't the best assassins. You were rewarded with a curved blade. Assassin Training. You saw bright-colored marks on the side of a wall that you'd easily be able to grab. You swiftly climbed the wall and were rewarded with a nice view. There is the Assassin's Creed reference. At a loss. There's something fishy going on here. Bad experiment. Some scientists bit off more than they could chew and nearly caused a multiple block-sized explosion. Luckily, they weren't that bright and did not know how to turn the power back on. You were rewarded with not dying in an explosion. Beastmen Tribe Quest. The Beastmen's repeatable quest to improve your reputation with their tribe. You repeated it every day until you maxed out your reputation with them. You were rewarded with a legendary Drake mount. Beehive Estate. You found a mansion that looked like it had been taken over by bandits. But with a closer look, you found them taking care of bees and enjoying some nice honey. You decided to leave them be. Blacksmith Apprentice. That was fantastic. Blacksmith Apprentice. A young blacksmith thinks he has what it takes to take over the shop, so his master can retire. You talked to the master blacksmith, who told you that the apprentice's time had not yet come. You came back to the apprentice to tell him that perhaps patience was a lesson he had yet to learn. You were rewarded with a good pair of greaves. Here we go, Ocarina of Time. Bomb shop. You found a doorway barred by rocks, with some bombs laid out in front of it. You managed to light the bombs and open the entryway, only to realize it was a bomb shop. By some miracle, you didn't blow the whole place up. You were rewarded with a bigger bomb bag. Bonus EXP. There was a bigger monster off to the side of the trail that was obviously there as an extra challenge to boost EXP. You took care of a monster and were rewarded with some EXP. Book Collector. An excited woman requested you find a rare manuscript to add to her collection. You found the book and gave it to her in return for some coins and EXP. Boredom. You brought some much-needed entertainment in the form of board games to some guards. You were rewarded with some EXP. Bounty 1. A bounty board in the Beastmen village in the Infinite Wastes was paying to hunt a dangerous walking tomato. You found it and defeated it, even though it put up a surprising fight. You were rewarded with a large sum of Beastmen coins for completing the bounty. Bounty 2. You accepted a bounty to hunt a rampaging giant turtle that has been destroying villages across the wastes. You found it outside of Skatra village and defeated it before it lay foot inside. You were rewarded with a large sum of Beastmen coins for completing the bounty. Bounty 3. You accepted a bounty to hunt a necromancer. You found a necromancer's lair and defeated them and all their followers. You were rewarded with a large sum of Beastmen coins for completing the bounty. Bounty 4. You accepted a bounty to hunt a monstrous sand insect. You fought it and defeated it. You were rewarded with a huge amount of Beastmen coins for completing the bounty. Bounty 5. You accepted the most extreme bounty available, hunting the King of Worms. After 5 hours of grueling combat, you defeated the king. You were rewarded with a gigantic sum of Beastman coins as well as a badge for completing the most difficult bounty. Box cleanup. You helped clean up empty boxes in an excessive flashy minigame. You were rewarded with EXP and +1 to style. Oh, I love this reference here. Bridgemaster. An annoying soldier on a bridge kept stabbing the floor and yelling something about you not being able to pass. You weren't sure what to do about it until a traveler walked right by them with no problem. You did the same. You were rewarded with falling into the water as the bridge broke. Bridge toll. Some ruffians wouldn't let you pass without paying a fee. They obviously were causing others trouble as well, so you taught them a lesson. You were rewarded with free passage. Broken wheel. You found a band of travelers on the side tending to a wagon with a broken wheel. Lucky for you, you're a master of all trades and repaired the wheel. You were rewarded with some potatoes. Something that a lot of people I know would do in video games, because this would also be me. Cliff hopping. You spent an hour trying to hop up the side of a mountain just to find out the top was blocked off by an invisible barrier. You were rewarded with the big sad. Cloud News Radio. You helped a duo under the alias of Two Dogs get their radio station back up and running. You were rewarded with some good jams. Coffee. In an intense cutscene, you drank the best cup of coffee to the best of your abilities. You were rewarded with energy, joy, and EXP. Crafting competition. You joined a competition to craft the greatest sand fishing pole. You won by quite a margin and were rewarded with a fancy hat. Dailies. An important looking person told you they'd give you a quest every day and you'd be rewarded in incremental but valuable and unique loot. Day off. Everyone needs a break now and then. You relaxed at a pool all day. Good on you. Deal with the bandits. Some bandits have been robbing people near Prefecture. You took care of them. You were rewarded with their spoils and a feeling of moral ambiguity. Deal with the other bandits. More bandits have been causing trouble near Noble Lake. You dealt with them and were rewarded with a tasty fish dinner. Deal with even more bandits. Apparently bandits haven't come to fear you very much, as some have been causing trouble outside Leodum. You swiftly took care of them and were rewarded with some Aragonian coins. Deal with even more bandits. With this many bandit tribes on the loose, their population rivals even the metropolis Sky Arch. Oh no! Have you become a genocidal maniac? You dealt with the bandits and were rewarded with equal measures of guilt and existential dread. Decision making. You found a lone travel absorbed in thoughts at a crossroad with 4 directions. They told you they were in a bit of pickle. They don't know which was the right direction. When you asked them what they were looking for, they said they weren't sure and they needed to use their head and think. They offered you a toast and dozed off after mumbling something about being the only thing to do after a nice toast. Dejected soldier. You found a soldier at her post, dejected from the lack of work her fellow soldiers do. They apparently abandon their posts and ignore threats, so it's no wonder there's so many bandits about. You didn't have much to offer, but you did say you'd step any soldiers in line that you ran into. You were rewarded with some EXP. Dodging aggro. You saw a huge robot monster that you were far too annoyed to trifle with. Despite your best efforts, you could not get by without a fight. You begrudgingly dealt with it and moved on, and were rewarded with more of the same boring loot. Duke Mighty, the undefeated God King. You attempted to have a conversation with this obviously important figure, but for some reason they're not a primary NPC. They only gave you a one-liner at every attempt you talked to them. You were rewarded with a solid amount of confusion. Dumpster diving. A frantic man asked you for help finding their wedding band. He said it could have fallen off at any 4 different dumpsters. You found it, of course, in the last dumpster you checked. You were rewarded with the need to shower. Die Hard. You helped someone clean up their shop. You were rewarded with the ability to dye your equipment. Ending F. Find them all. You were introduced to a collectible card game in a bar. You became so addicted to finding every card and beat every opponent that you forgot your adventure entirely. You were rewarded with a brief ending credit scene, and were returned to the point before you ever tried the game. Escort quest. A noble requested you to accompany their grandfather to their home. They must have been hated as you had to hold back many enemies to keep them moving, but successfully got them there. You returned to the noble and rewarded with a useless item that takes up inventory space. Experimental e-drug research. An excited woman asked you to fight some machines after taking her experimental drug. Well, you thought you had a hard time seeing, but you felt stronger. You were rewarded with a potion. Irk. Fashion World. An important-looking woman behind a desk asked you to take care of some monsters. The monster returns upon death, so she said she would reward you with another piece of equipment for each time you defeated it. You decided you needed some improvements when it came to your looks anyways, so you obliged. You put the work in to be rewarded with a full set of new armor. That is the thing I would do, to be honest. Fence repair. You helped fix a villager's fence to protect their chickens. You were rewarded with a fine egg. Find the hideout. You spent 10 minutes carefully following someone whose pace was faster than your walking speed. You spent 10 minutes carefully following someone whose pace was faster than your walking but slower than your run, only to get caught and have to redo the whole mission. The second attempt, you managed to follow them without getting spotted, and found their secret hideout. You gave the requested information to the person that asked, and were rewarded with some absentee coin. First draft. You helped a novice cartographer fill the blanks of their map of Excuvia. You were rewarded with the first draft. I'm looking at this and this is confusing me. I'm sorry. But then again, it's a first draft, so what do you expect? Also, hold on. Alright, so I'm just reading something real quick. Alright. First property. Someone gave you a tutorial on how to buy a property and then gave you a seemingly low offer on a place. You took it only to realize it was obviously the first property in the game, and probably not the best buy. You were rewarded with a cobwebbed hut. Fishing fanatic. You met a crazed man by Noble Lake going on and on about how all that matters there is... Ah. You met a crazed man by Noble Lake going on and on about how all that matters here is the fishing. You were not sure if you disagreed with him. You were rewarded with contemplation. Well, here's this game's version of Tomat. Flightless Tribe Quest. The flightless, repeatable quest to improve your the flightless's repeatable quest to improve your reputation with their tribe. You repeated it every day until you maxed out their reputation with them. You were rewarded with the legendary piece of back equipment. Foreign primer. You found a primer for a foreign language. You decided not to, You found a primer for a foreign language. You decided to not even attempt to find the other 25 of it. 25 if it was this hard to find one. You were rewarded with a letter in dialogue. Free loot. You found a house at the end of a road with a bunch of free loot in it. You were rewarded with being over encumbered. Frozen treat. You saw a treasure behind a locked doorway. You had to solve a minigame involving collecting key fragments in a slippery environment and were rewarded with some boots. Honestly, that does sound like a Legend of Zelda quest, but I know it's probably... I can't figure out that reference. I know it's a reference. Of which game specifically? I just know it's a general game from Nintendo, most likely. This is Ocarina of Time now. Garden maze. You accidentally walked into a garden maze full of guards. You weren't sure if you'd get in trouble, so you snuck your way past all of them until you ended up on the other side. You were rewarded with a different view of the castle. Generic Fetch Quest 1. An uneventful fetch quest that has... Generic Fetch Quest 1. An uneventful fetch quest that wasn't worth writing down. Generic Fetch Quest 2. Yet another uneventful fetch quest that wasn't worth writing down. Generic Fetch Quest 3. Yet another uneventful fetch quest that wasn't worth writing down. Generic Fetch Quest 4. This is really getting out of hand. Another uneventful fetch quest. Generic Fetch Quest 5. You're starting to wonder if your journey is being written by someone and they're simply running out of ideas. That's also another line I do like, the generic fetch quests. Giant worms. You were attacked by a large number of giant worms. You were rewarded with not being digested in a worm's stomach. Heirloom trouble. Two siblings are fighting about who deserves their family heirloom. Both of their points of argument are valued, and both seem to be equally sleazy people as they tried to bribe you with different gear. You decided to roll some dice to make the decision for you and ended up with a weird helmet and some EXP. Highway robbery. You witnessed a traveler being robbed. You managed to catch the robber and return their goods. You were rewarded with some coins. Hog invasion. A farm was under attack by a large number of feral hogs. You dispatched them in a few minutes and were rewarded with a strange sense of security. Hungry adventurer. You gave a starving adventurer some much-needed food. Good thing you pick everything up. You were rewarded with a lighter load. Hunt Tutorial Monsters 1. A lady named Tutorial Woman asked you to make... A lady named Tutorial Woman asked you to take care of some slimes to prove you understood the controls. You did, and were rewarded with some Arogania coin. Tutorial Woman asked you to hunt 5 feral rats to prove you can jump. You're not sure how that proves you can jump, nor did you need to jump to take care of a job. She still rewarded you with a red potion. Tutorial Woman's new request was to kill 5 chickens. You're not sure you can trust her because conventional wisdom dictates that if you strike down a chicken, 100 more will rise in its defense. You decide to ignore the request and were filled with determination. And there's the Undertale reference. Injured adventurer. You found an injured adventurer and nursed him back to health with a potion. You were rewarded with some EXP. Urk, I'm sorry I'm yawning a lot, but there's just a lot of reading. While getting your fix of Sky Arching coffee, you met a young gamer boy who... While getting... It's all the same. While getting your fix of Sky Arching coffee, you met young gamer boy who wouldn't stop rambling on about every game being an isekai. In his frantic state, he asks you to find 5 weapons to train with in case this was an isekai as well. You were rewarded with a feeling of uneasiness. Oh, I love this reference. This one's just a reference to a meme. Just more soup. You found a man asking for help finding clothing. You tried to help him understand he wouldn't find clothing at soup. You were rewarded with profanities. Leaf cleanup. You agreed to clean up all the leaves in Sky Arch's Central Park. It was the worst minigame. You were underwhelmingly rewarded with EXP. Little bullies. A large population of Iraski toads have been particularly bothersome to the citizens of Prefecture. A slightly deranged-looking man gave you a bottle of oil to spread at a few different locations, saying it would help keep the toads away. Despite being unsure if the oil would do anything, you decided to help him out and place the oil where he said to. He gave you a half-eaten apple in return. Ugh. Lionar. You found a creature that was a terrifying mix of a lion and a centaur. Despite appearances, it turned out to be quite docile, and you went on your way. Lockpick 99. You found a locked door that required a higher lockpicking ability than you currently had. You respect and were able to open the door and find some uneventful loot and a weapon you can't use. Don't worry, you respect right after. Lost Jewel. You were asked to find a lost jewel in your travel. It is a good thing quest indicators exist, or else you would have never been able to find such a small object in such an open world. You were rewarded with a large amount of coins. Lost Toy. A child lost their toy while playing outside the Beastman's village. Their parent requested you to find and return it. You found it where they said they left it, returned it, and were rewarded with seeing a joyful child. Ocarina of Time reference. Lost Woods. As you traveled into the forest, it filled with mist and your surroundings got more and more confusing. After a bit, you realized you were back where you started. You kept attempting to go deeper into the forest, but couldn't solve the maze puzzle until you found footprints. You followed the footprints to a small spring where you found a majestic deer. You were rewarded with a song stuck in your head. I could not help that, sorry. Machine Tribe Quest. The machine's repeatable quest to improve your reputation with their tribe. You repeated it every day until you maxed out your reputation with them. You were rewarded with a legendary instrument. Map Dependency. You met a young traveler stuck at a crossroads. They realized their map was inaccurate and they had no idea how to travel without one. When you told them directions to Perfector, they seemed even more lost, so you guided them there. You were rewarded with a bigger appreciation for technology. Messenger. Someone asked you to say something to another person about 30 feet away, then talked to the other person. They said you had to say something to the first person. This repeated 8 times before they got all their information to each other. You were rewarded with drowsiness and a sprinkle of existential crisis. Yep, that's the type of quest I hate in games. Mimic. You finally let your guard down, believing there wouldn't be any mimics in this world, only to run into your first one. It got the jump on you, and you barely managed to stay alive. You were rewarded with perpetual fear of treasure. Monster crabs. Terrifying crabs attacked you on a beach beside the glass ocean. You managed to deal with them despite their thick shells. You were rewarded with some EXP. Moral dilemma. You were challenged with quite the moral dilemma between 3 choices. Despite the impact your choice would make, you don't think too hard about it since only one choice fits your build. +1 to good, +1 to neutral, or +1 to evil. More loot! You found another empty house full of loot. You were rewarded with the plunder. Mushroom gathering. You found a large grove of mushrooms that needed to be gathered. You were rewarded with a fine collection of mushrooms to cook with. Mysterious shrine. You found a mysterious shrine in front of an icy pond near the summit of Mount Esse. You knew there had to be something special about it, but its mystery was unsolvable to you. You were rewarded with a lack of sleep and frustration. Never trust glass. You saw a terrifying creature held back by a glass barrier. Naturally, the power went out and it broke through the glass. You managed to deal with the creature despite the horror in the moment. You were rewarded with a missile. Is that a Metroid reference? I feel like that's a Metroid reference because of a missile. Orc Tribe Quest. The Orcs' repeatable quest to improve your reputation with their tribe. You repeated it every day until you maxed out their reputation with them. You were rewarded with the legendary helmet. Parking Mayhem. You solved a parking puzzle minigame without looking up the answer. You were rewarded with bragging rights and EXP. Pumpkin Soup. A talking yeti asked you to bring him a fish, a pumpkin, and some goat cheese for his soup. You found the items, brought it to him, and were rewarded with a superb bowl of pumpkin soup. Pest Control. You dealt with a basement full of rats as requested. You were rewarded with a very small amount of coins and some EXP. Research Project. You helped do some research. That's it. You were rewarded with some newfound knowledge. Retired Boss. You found a giant warrior without a face, clad in black armor, resting on a hilltop. It told you some tales of its time as a boss fight in a game. You were rewarded for gratitude that you didn't have to face it. Ribbon. You found a shopkeeper that said they would create an accessory that would protect you from all ailments. The only catch is you had to find 99 dark crystals. You didn't even have a free accessory slot in your build, but you took the time to satisfy your hoarding urges. You were rewarded with 1 ribbon. Now, I think that's a reference to another game, because that really feels like it is a straight up reference to another game. Oh boy, this one's funny. Riddler, you solved a man's riddle. You were rewarded with pride and some EXP. It's short, but it's fun. River rafting race. You were challenged to race down a river. You won, but only because your opponents all got stuck in shallow water. You were begrudgingly rewarded with prize money. Rock puzzle. There were 4 rocks in a pattern on the ground, with one very obvious out of place. There were 4 rocks in a pattern on the ground, with one very obviously out of place. You had a strong feeling that you needed to put it back into place. You were rewarded with a cute jingle. Another Breath of the Wild reference. Rock skipping contest. You won a contest to see who could skip rocks the farthest. You were the only competitor. You were rewarded with satisfaction? Rowdy soldiers. Some rowdy soldiers were causing trouble in Northfin Inn. You put them back in their place and were rewarded with a good drink. A kid accidentally let go of his balloon. He can't climb buildings, so you bought him another one and he didn't know any better. You were rewarded with some EXP. Kids are dumb. Sand surfing. You were taught the ways of sand surfing and immediately after... I'm gonna take a drink and reread that. Sand surfing. You were taught the ways of sand surfing and immediately after took first place in the sand surfing competition. Savage bear. You survived the attack from a savage bear. You were rewarded with your life. Science fair. You helped a kid win a science fair. For some reason, you got super into it and made a hovercraft. You were rewarded with a medal. I do love the fact that it says you were rewarded with a medal and not the kid. I kind of feel bad for the kid with that one. We're getting close to finishing the side quest, at least. There's a crud ton others to read, but yeah. Scorpy Tribe Quest. The Scorpy repeatable quest to improve your reputation with their tribe. You repeat it every day until you maxed out the reputation with them. You are rewarded with a legendary pair of boots and gloves. And here is Kingdom Hearts reference. Sea salt ice cream. Somehow you were tricked into doing what felt like the same thing hundreds of times only to be rewarded with one of the most tragic goodbyes you've ever witnessed. Thank you, 345. I think 360 days. I think it's 360 days. Side underscore quest underscore name. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. You were rewarded with some EXP. Slide minigame. A fire elf challenged you down a slide of lava. You have no idea how it's possible to be near lava in the first place, but you're a master of all things and took first place. Small town woes. You met a starry-eyed kid dreaming to live in a big city. You gave him some coin to kickstart their journey. Though it doesn't make much sense, you were rewarded with some coin. Another Breath of the Wild reference. Snowball bowling. A man living alone in a cabin at the top of a mountain asked you to play a game of supersized bowling with giant snowballs. You found a way to get a strike. You were rewarded with the best means of money A man living alone in a cabin at the top of a mountain asked you to play a game of supersized bowling with giant snowballs. You found a way to get a strike. You were rewarded with the best means of making money. Because that's actually an accurate thing from Breath of the Wild. Spider Hunt. You accidentally found yourself in a room full of spider people. Despite being sufficiently uncomfortable, you told them you'd help them. So excited that somebody finally stayed long enough to listen to them, they entirely forgot to tell you what they wanted. However, they didn't forget to give you a weird heart-shaped object that you're not sure what to do with. There's the Ocarina of Time reference. Stolen goods. You helped recover a shopkeeper's stolen goods. You were rewarded with 10% off all shop prices. Sunstones. You were requested to light up sunstones in the area. A certain kind of monster feeds off the stones, so you had to take care of him. You were rewarded with some potions. Swift repair. You raced some engineers at Sky Arch Docks to see who could repair an engine fastest. You got this mini game down at this point, so it was a piece of cake. You were rewarded with EXP and a medal. Taking flight. A particularly spirited girl asked you for help in her journey to fly. She designed an attachment for her wings and just needed the parts to make it. You brought her parts and were rewarded with the joy of seeing a dream realized. And now we got the Sonic reference here. Talking Echidna. Strangely enough, you met a talking echidna obsessed with finding his emerald. You found it and were rewarded with a strange song. Target practice. You found a strange balloon shooting range. Somehow the balloons defied all laws of physics and created quite the difficult tasks of shooting them. You were rewarded with some unique prizes and coins. The Arogania War. You went on a long quest that was probably better than the main quest itself. There was a large battle for equality in Arogania, and you helped settle the disputes between Vanbreeze and Leodum. It did not end perfect, but it was a step in the right direction. You were rewarded with a fan club for the quest. Fear of death. You met a lovely talking robot that led a small village of robots. For better or worse, you helped him convince some ancient robots to stay safe in the village. You were rewarded with some philosophy. The Golden Dagger. Someone told you they couldn't possibly survive without their golden dagger that they lost. You found it for them and returned it to them. Despite knowing gold wouldn't defend them well, you were rewarded with some coins. I know that's a reference to something. Diagonally. A government worker asked you to find who was sending him hate mail from a bill. Diagonally. A government worker asked you to find who was sending him hate mail for building a diagonal road and ruining the entire city's layout. You convinced the sender to stop and were rewarded with some money. The map is a lie. You realized there was an area you could walk through that wasn't on a map. You were rewarded with a couple of potions and a feeling of being a genius. The Sleeping Night. You found a wonderful inn to stay the night. You were rewarded with some hard-earned rest. It's important. This is a weird one. You found a wonderful inn to stay the night. You were rewarded with some hard-earned rest. It's important for a hero at least once a month. The weird costume. You found a man dressed up as a raisin. He, of course, rewarded you with the strangest costume in the game for finding him. The Zodiac Spear Hunt. You were told of an extremely powerful spear to rival all other weapons. You eventually found the spear's supposed location, only to find a note in place of a chest. You were rewarded with nothing but defeat, and the note said there was only a 0.1% chance of this spear existing in this location. Sounds like fun, because I'm pretty sure that's similar to the Zodiac Killer. or whatever. Thug Trouble 1. You stopped some thugs trying to rob a store. You were rewarded with some EXP. Thug Trouble 2. You stopped an armored robbery of a bank. You were rewarded with some EXP and the gratitude of the victims inside the bank. Thug Trouble 3. You stopped an excessively large amount of thugs trying to mug a person. It didn't really make sense why there were so many thugs. It didn't really make sense why there were so many people attempting to steal from one poor soul. But you were rewarded with some contentment for being able to help them. Tightrope walk. You found a mini-game of balancing on a rope between two trees. You were rewarded with passage into Vanbrace. Time trial. You were challenged to stop the record. No, you were challenged to top the record for the fastest time driving down the East Highway. You broke the record easily. You're not even sure how the previous record was so slow, because all you did was drive in a straight line with the pedal on the floor. You were rewarded with prize money and some EXP. Oh, we're almost done the side quests. Tired Mailman. A mailman in bright Tired mailman. A mailman in a bright red suit was catching his breath on the side of a road. He told you he feels like he's been running the same path on the same day that keeps resetting. You offered to take his mail the rest of the way. You didn't know how else to help him. You were rewarded with the fear that maybe you've been here before as well. Torn. Two people gave very Torn. Two people gave very compelling arguments about who deserved the last cookie. For some reason, you spent an hour mulling over the decision only to find out there was a second cookie all along. You weren't rewarded with a cookie, which sucks, but it did get some EXP. Town Minstrel. A town minstrel was playing in an inn. They were rather talented, so you made a point to give them some coins. You were rewarded with the satisfaction of paying an artist. Trading quest. You went on a peculiar journey trading one strange item for another strange item again and again until you were eventually rewarded with magic armor that lost its power. That is a quest in a game. Treasure trove. You found a small opening in a mountain full of treasure. I'm sure the person that left this here wouldn't mind if you took it, right? Trespassing. You walked into an empty mansion with what looked like a bunch of important pathways. You spent hours trying to find what was important about this mansion only to give up. You were rewarded with nothing. Troll cave. You found a cave full of trolls and loot. You managed to survive the trolls and acquire that loot. Trolls. You survived an attack from vigorously regenerating trolls. You were rewarded with some hides and EXP. Water leak. No one would fix a water leak in an apartment complex, so you did. You were rewarded with EXP. Waterfall dive. Every game needs a scenic dive, preferably with a waterfall. Werewolf den. You ran into a den of werewolves. They were shockingly laid back and obviously no threat. You were rewarded with some good times. You are over encumbered. You found a woman giving away her paintings for free. You filled up your inventory with absurdly heavy paintings and slowly scooted your way to the nearest shop for maximum sell value. You were rewarded with a lot of coins. Okay, we're done 2 categories. Fortunately, not all the categories are that long. Absentee Shrine. An incredible view at the peak of Absentee. Apartment Rooftop. A view from the top of the largest Sky Arch apartment complex. Bell Tower. A view of the whole town of Prefecture from the top of the bell tower. Cloud Industries. No. Clout into. Clout Industries Tower. A terrifying view from the top of the largest building in Sky Arch. Giant robotic dinosaur. The mind reels at what this creature was capable of. The climb is insanely dangerous, but the view is incredible. Hilltop Peak. A view of 3 regions on top a hill in Arogania. Hospital Rooftop. A view on top of the Sky Arch Hospital. Leodum Tower. A view on top of the Leodum Watchtower. Mount Despi Peak. A beautiful view at the peak of Mount Despi. Mount Esse Peak. A beautiful view at the peak of Mount Esse. The Great Tree. The best view of Vanbrys Forest atop the Great Tree. Top of a crane. A view of a Sky Arch docks from the top of the largest crane. Oh boy, we're on the fish now. But there's so much more we need to read. I'm glad I got through at least 3 of the categories so far. Alright, here we go. 15 LB fish. You have a faint recollection of someone saying they'd give you a golden scale in reward for this fish, but you can't recall whom. A fish. You found a fish. Found only in a lake. This is somehow the most generic fish you can imagine. Adamantite fish. A large fish that looks like a rock made out of adamantite. It is too heavy to swim, so it disguises itself to trap the smaller fish that eat on the ocean floor. Alpha fish. The beta fish's larger sibling. Anchovy. Somehow this extremely tiny fish got caught on your hook. Anglerfish. Nasty looking fish with large teeth and a huge underbite. Barracuda. Large sleek fish with a nasty bite. Big boy bass. A species of bass fish that are unusually large. Bluefish. You have a feeling there's a red one. Blue herring. This is important. Catfish. A fish but with whiskers. Cod. Large speckled fish found in the glass ocean. Crab. Delicious with rice, seaweed, and avocado. Eel. A large eel. Fairy fish. Bright pink and purple fish found in the Ivory Lake. Glass tuna. The most common fish in glass tuna. The most common fish of the glass ocean. Very reflective. Golden fish. A golden fish. It has a very strong swim from all the weight it has to carry. It would probably sell for a good price in a market. Jubjub. The king of fish. Lives at the bottom of the ocean. Legend says that in its bowels lays a vast dungeon containing hordes of loot. No one actually wants to go trudge around a gargantuan fish guts, so it is all unconfirmed, which is based off of Jabu Jabu from Ocarina of Time. Koi fish. For some reason, you thought fishing with someone For some reason, you thought fishing in someone's decorative pond was a good idea. You had second thoughts after catching this fish, however, and put it back. Mackerel. Somehow, after catching one, you have 3 mackerels, perfectly grilled and served over rice. Magic carp. It's really just a magic carp. Oilfish. A species of fish that have adapted to the accursed oasis. Pike. Not a weapon. Platinum fish. A shining fish made of platinum. It's better than the goldfish. Pond guardian. A long fish found in a pond in Central Sky Arch. The fishermen around you were shocked when you caught it, as its location was only known in a rare book. Rav, the demon fish king himself. He was very upset that he had finally been caught. Rainbow trout, a very easy to spot by the long rainbow trail that follows them as they swim. Redfish, you have a feeling there's a blue one. Salmon, best smoked and served on a bagel. Sandfish, there had to be a fish swimming in the sand. Sea urchin, a briny delicacy on the inside, poisonous monster on the outside. Shelled fish, a fish that's adapted to the lake of fire with hardened scales. Hello, lava fish. Squid, served best when battered and fried. Swamp monster. Though the name is ominous, swamp monsters are just as harmless as any other common fish. Their fins look like large mouths with sharp teeth to scare away predators. Swordfin, a freshwater dwelling fish with a dangerous fin. Swordfish. You'd look so cool if only you could catch 2 of them. Telescope fish. Small fish with strange eyes that are said to be able to see to the bottom of the ocean. The great guppy. Like the tiny fish, but big. The glass light. A blinding glow is the last thing said to be seen before this monster of an anglerfish catches its prey. Even while not hunting, its light keeps the glass ocean lit. The Lake King. Not to be confused with the River King, who is just a legend and not a real fish at all. Tilapia. Fry it up with some spices and you've got a tasty meal. Trash. Not a fish, but gotta clean up where you can, right? These ones are a little bit longer. Lebby the Leviathan. Kept talking about the glory days when his summoner called for his help every day. Lebby seemed obsessed with peace because that's what my summoner would want. You carefully suggested that maybe he should lighten up on his controlling ways because his summoner would probably wouldn't want that either. Your relationship with Lebby grew stronger. Bahamut II. As you explored the peak of Mount Despy, you realized the peak was not a mountain top, but a large, moping dragon. Bahamut II dejectedly introduced himself as the only Bahamut to not be included. They wanted to try something different. You managed to cheer him up a bit by telling him that you can think of at least 13 other Bahamuts after him. So they probably regretted the decision. Your relationship with Bahamut II grew stronger. Sela 1. You found Sela waiting outside Pin Tower, and she asked you to help her deal with the gang causing trouble in the area. On the way to their hideout, she told you of her time as the owner of Pin Industries and how she left after being disillusioned by the selfishness of the industry. You found the hideout, dealt with a gang, and your relationship with Sella grew stronger. Sella 2. You accompanied Selly in investigating research being done at the Pin Industries research facility. You discovered they've been quietly doing experiments on imbuing chicken with magic for decades, and Sella was... Did I just read chicken instead of children? Frick. You discovered they've been quietly doing experiments on imbuing children with magic for decades, and Sella was one of the children that had been experimented on. You destroyed the research and had the guilty parties arrested. You did your best to comfort Sally, but she asked that you give her time to process what she had found out. Your relationship with Sally grew stronger. Sally 3. You and Sally spent time together in the Sky Arch Art Museum. She expressed her gratitude for your help in making Sky Arch a better place, and you made a big decision on what your feelings towards her were. Your relationship with Sally grew stronger. Dom Bombi, the happiest and possibly only content person you've met in Exuvia. He invited you in for a merry meal and made by his river spirit of a wife, and sang many a song. You felt refreshed and full of hope after parting ways. Your relationship with Dom Bombi grew stronger. Dream. You found it. The perfect spot for a perfect date. You brought a dinner and arrived to see them waiting for you with a beautiful sunset. You ate together, laughed together, and confided your deepest secrets. As the sun fell below the horizon, you woke up in a panic and remembered that character wasn't a romance option. Ellen the Raven, a seemingly old woman, seemingly because she's wearing a ragged bird outfit that coats every inch of her. She keeps going on about her hunters and hunting, but there's no one else here or anything around to hunt for, though perhaps the greatest hunt is the one for love. Your relationship with Ellen grew stronger. And now, you found Enel brooding in his abode at the Lake of Fire. After you bothered him enough, he told you his fear of never moving forward. He wanted to expand his jewelry work outside of the Lake of Fire. But the rest of Exuvia is untrusting of fire elves and only buys jewelry sold directly from the crafting guild, which would only accept him if he had proof of sales outside of Lake of Fire. You listened attentively, and when the time was right, you told him you'd support him in his efforts. Your relationship with Enel grew stronger. Enel 2. You, Enel, and Sella met at a mall to help Enel research the most successful jewelry on the market. One of Enel's biggest influences happened to be there, but he couldn't bring himself to talk to them. You and Sella managed to convince Enel that he is a person worth talking to, and he mustered the courage to approach them. He came back with the conversation full of energy and motivation. Your relationship with Enel grew stronger. Enel 3. You traveled with Enel to Sky Arch to help him sell his jewelry at a show. During your travels, he told you how he wasn't used to having support. He never knew his parents, and he was never great at being a close friend. You arrived at the show and kept Enel's shop so customers wouldn't avoid a fire elf shop. Enel's jewelry was a huge hit, and he expressed his gratitude for you on the way back to the Lake of Fire. You made a big decision on what your feelings towards him were, and your relationship with Enel grew stronger. Fairy Queen. You met with the surprisingly overbearing Fairy Queen at Ivory Lake. She showered you with gifts and begged you to visit often. Your relationship with the Fairy Queen grew stronger. Ferdinand. You met Ferdinand and spent some time together talking. It was a short-lived conversation. In fact, it wasn't much of a conversation at all. Ferdinand just kept talking about himself. He is obviously the worst romance option. Your relationship with Ferdinand grew stronger nonetheless. Oh, so much reading. Look, fish, don't complain. You didn't eat your food, and I gave you your food already. Ugh. Han Thamen 1. You found Thom in a spirited conversation with the Orcs tribe leader. You caught up with him after, and he apologized for his anger. He told you he's been trying to bring the tribes of the Waste together, but no one is willing to listen. Living in the infinite wastes is difficult enough. He wishes the tribe would work together to make it a better place. You told him you'd help his cause, and your relationship with Han Thamen grew stronger. Han Thamen 2. Thom asked you for help in convincing the Beastmen tribe leader to give gifts to the other tribes as a peace offering. You came to him, and your trust in Thom was enough to convince the tribe leader that Thom's cause was a good one. Confused as to why he wouldn't be known by his own tribe's leader, you asked him why he needed your help. He told you that his family was exiled from the tribe before he was born, so he wasn't even part of a tribe until recently. It's been an uphill climb for him to be accepted in any way. Your relationship with Han Thamen grew stronger. Also, I just realized that's a typo. Frick. Han Thamen 3. Thom brought you to what was left of his home in the wastes growing up. He told you how the sandstorms of a waste can last for weeks, and living outside of a tribe led to his parents passing away at an early age. He told you of his dream to build the first city of the infinite wastes, to make living here a better place. He expressed his gratitude for your help in that journey. You made a big decision on what your feelings towards him were, and your relationship with Han Thamen grew stronger. Hroth 1. You found Hroth just out. Okay, I can't continue reading this. I need to frickin' take a drink. Hroth 1. You found Hroth just outside Absentee, deep in thought. He noticed you and greeted you warmly. You asked him what he was thinking about, and he told you that he was pondering what could possibly give his friends hope again. The town of Absentee had always been a place of cynicism and escapism, but his travels across Exuvia showed him that there was still hope in this world. He knew how deeply rooted the hurt was in Absentee. So he knew just telling his friends wouldn't do a thing. You told him that you knew he would find a way that you told him that you knew he would find a way to help them. Your relationship with Hroth grew stronger. That's also another typo. ES instead of SE in the Absentee for that one. Hroth 2. You and Hroth met at a bar in Absentee, and just as you sat down, a man stormed into the bar. His home was under attack, just outside Absentee, and he needed help. You and Hroth rushed to help the man, and he guided you away from the city to a spot near a cave that didn't seem to be anyone's home. You realized too late that this was a trap, and you were ambushed. But just before you were overwhelmed, one of the attackers held the attack. Hroth recognized him as one of his friends. Despite him saving your lives, Hroth was deeply disappointed. After scolding the friend and his accomplices, you sent them back to town. As you traveled, Hroth confided that he struggled every day to keep his hopeful perspective, and this certainly didn't help. You told him that it would probably always be a struggle, but he wasn't alone. The relationship with Hroth grew stronger. Hroth 3. Hroth brought you to his favorite view in Eska, in between the peaks of Mount Essay. Hroth brought you to his favorite view of Essia, in between the peaks of Mount Essay, and you spent time enjoying the view and conversing. He told you how he realized that he never would have found this place if it wasn't for Gesh, and that it was incredible that Gesh's evil could cause such good change of heart for himself. You continued to share the moment together, and you made a big decision on what your feelings towards him were. Your relationship with Hroth grew stronger. Hey! My jaw's starting to get sore. The blacksmith. You met the blacksmith in Leodum, and traveled together to purchase a rare metal from the elves in Vambrice for a commission of hers. During your travel, you discussed her hatred in Arogania, and learned that she grew up and trained in Vambrice. Your relationship with the blacksmith grew stronger. The Master Fisher. You met the old lone fisherman sitting by the oasis in the infinite wastes. He told you some stories of his life, and how he now finds peace in taking life slow. You caught many fish, and your relationship with the Master Fisher grew stronger. The Prince. You met with the ruler of Leodum. After an exquisite meal, he invited you to his quarters, where he confided in you his feelings of utter defeat. He sees the people of Leodum's pride, yet his council refuses to let him bring change. You did your best to comfort him before taking your leave. Your relationship with a prince grew stronger. Ryue 1. You recognized Ryue's voice in Prefecture and realized it was, in fact, her. She was disguised and helping feed some children. You discreetly showed you recognized her, and she told you to follow her. She led you to another room, closed the door, and uncovered her face to talk to you. She told you she's been bringing food to the hungry in Prefecture, and uses this disguise to get past Leodum guards. She told you of her frustration with people in Vambrice for refusing to send more help. Because of her prejudice against humans, she knows she doesn't have the power to cause change in Leodum. After talking a bit longer, you helped her bring food to more of a Prefecture villagers, and your relationship with Ryue grew stronger. Ryue 2. You found an ecstatic Ryue finishing up a conversation with some elves in Vambrice. She had just convinced them to help her bring more food to the people of Prefecture, something she had been trying to do for months. You joined her for a celebratory drink, and she confided in you her dream to free Prefecture from Leodum rule. She knew it was going to be difficult, maybe impossible, but she was passionate about it being the key to bring peace to Arogania. You shared her excitement and told her that even if her dream felt impossible, she wouldn't give up on it. Your relationship with Ryue grew stronger. Ryue 3. You accompanied Ryue as a missionary of Vambrice to speak with the Prefecture town court. Ryue begged them to accept help, because their people were starving and they weren't going to get support from Leodum. Despite her best efforts They refused to listen to her because their connection to Leodom was too deep. She felt exasperated, and you joined her. Her expression, her She expressed her despair in not being able to bring any change to Excuvia. She knew that people needed to make the best of what they had, even if this isn't the world they were from. You listened and comforted her by telling her that change was always going to feel impossible. But she had already brought about change. You made a big decision on what your feelings towards her were, and your relationship with Ryue grew stronger. Varys 1. You found Varys aggressively writing, and despite your attempts... You found Varys aggressively writing, and despite you attempting not to disturb her, she invited you in for tea. She told you how she thinks Excuvia will always be trapped in a state of frustration and dissatisfaction without history of its own, so that's what she's been writing down. The history of Excuvia. You listened and shared in her excitement, and your relationship with Varys grew stronger. Varys 2. You found Varys late at night visibly upset. She agreed to have your company, and she told you about how her historical research weighs heavily on her. She learned about so much evil, and she didn't feel she was any better than the evil she saw. You listened and did your best to comfort her where you could. Your relationship with Varys grew stronger. Oh God. Varys 3. You met Varys at the outskirts of the Elven city and ventured deeper into Benabris to look for an ancient artifact. As you traveled, you discussed her fear of her work going unfinished. With a combination of her own age and the danger of her travel, she wasn't sure she could be finished. You arrived at the shrine she was looking for, and you held back the giant spatters as she wrote down her research on the artifact that lay atop the shrine. As you safely escaped, she excitedly told you she thinks the artifact might be one of the keys to understanding why people are brought to this world. As you traveled back, you reminded her that she didn't have to finish her work for it to make a difference. She thanked you for your constant support. You made a big decision on what your feelings towards her were, and your relationship with Varys grew stronger. I feel like I'm losing my voice trying to get through all this. Oh, Jesus. There's just so much more to go through, and I know all of these are kind of short. Gosh dang it. I'm so close. Ah! Ah! Balance beacon. You solved a puzzle involving weights and a large scale. The beacon's energy was restored. Box beacon. You solved a puzzle involving pushing boxes to the correct locations in a confined space. The beacon's energy was restored. Cannon beacon. You completed the monotonous task of aiming a cannon at just the right angle to hit a target. The beacon's energy was restored. City beacon. You solved a puzzle involving switches and lights. The beacon's energy was restored. Climbing beacon. You solved a puzzle involving picking the correct path to climb. The beacon's energy was restored. Command beacon. You solved a puzzle involving a staff that controlled statues. The beacon's energy was restored. Deep Forest beacon. You solved a puzzle involving a flipping room in a hidden doorway. The beacon's energy was restored. Desert beacon. You solved a puzzle involving magnets. The beacon's energy was restored. Dragon Shrine beacon. You solved a puzzle involving hidden symbols and a password. The beacon's energy was restored. Electric beacon. You solved a puzzle involving wires and electrical currents. The beacon's energy was restored. Fairy beacon. You found all the fairies playing hide and seek. They opened the path to a switch that restored the beacon's energy. Fire beacon. You solved a puzzle involving multitude of torches. Fire beacon. You solved a puzzle involving a multitude of torches. The beacon's energy was restored. Ice beacon. You solved a puzzle involving sliding objects on ice. The beacon's energy was restored. Maze beacon. You navigated a maze to reach a switch that restored the beacon's energy. Mirror beacon. You solved a puzzle involving mirrors and light. The beacon's energy was restored. Oasis beacon. You solved a puzzle involving fake switches and one real one. The beacon's energy was restored. Ocean beacon. You solved a puzzle involving confusion, keys, and a lot of water. The beacon's energy was restored. Sand beacon. You solved a puzzle involving sand and timers. The beacon's energy was restored. Sandstorm beacon. You navigated a mysterious sandstorm to reach a switch that restored the beacon's energy. Spirit beacon. You solved a puzzle involving pictures and spirits. The beacon's energy was restored. Stealth beacon. You snuck through a maze with mechanical floating hands to reach a switch that restored the beacon's energy. Spider beacon. You solved a spooky puzzle involving clearing spider webs. The beacon's energy was restored. Target beacon. You shot a large number of fast-moving targets with a bow and arrow. Opened a path to a switch that restored the beacon's energy. Swamp beacon. You navigated a maze of small bridges above poisonous waters to reach a switch that restored the beacon's energy. Waterway beacon. You solved a puzzle that involved directing water. The beacon's energy was restored. Wind beacon. You solved a puzzle that involved directing wind. The beacon's energy was restored. Okay, we're on weapons. Evelyn. Reforged from the bloodstones collected in Estia. Named after a bizarre crossbow capable of shooting multiple times without needing to reload. The Avalyn is a spiritual successor in the form of a 6x6 barrel shotgun. Quite unwieldy. Cover art weapon 2.0. Reforged from the endgame rewards you collected in the Lidlum Caves, just like the weapon on the cover art that you started the game with, which in this case is a compass. So good luck with that. Plus 10 fashion. Gulgnir. Reforged from slime runes you collected in Arogania. Takes the shape of a grand but rather gooey spear. Cannot be broken, but probably can't break anything either. Isekai Tana. Reforged from tropes you collected in Skyarch. Conjure the true power of being summoned into another world through a katana worthy of a summoned protagonist. Metal slab. A large metal slab sharpened into a one-sided sword. Reforged from magic orbs you collected in the Infinite Wastes. There is no reason you should be able to hold this weapon, let alone swing it. But somehow you can make a flurry of up to 15 slashes in one moment. I think that is a reference to Cloud. Stick. You collected 5 important looking glowing crystals in each region and brought them to the Master Smith in the Lake of Fire. Excitedly, they ran into the back of their shop with the crystals and then returned with a stick? Two, three. Okay, we only have 4 more categories, and we'll be done. And then I could probably just like lay down and rest my voice, because Jesus Christ. Bandit Fortress 1. You conquered a hideout of bandits hoarding weapons and simple jewelry, and acquired a small amount of loot. Bandit Fortress 2. You conquered a hideout of bandits hoarding silver and gems, and acquired a significant amount of loot. Bandit Fortress 3. You conquered a hideout of bandits hoarding gold and diamonds. You acquired a gigantic amount of loot. Dark Magician Fortress 1. You conquered a fortress full of dark magicians wearing brown robes. You acquired a small amount of loot. Dark Magician Fortress 2. You conquered a fortress full of dark magicians wearing silver embroidered robes, and acquired a significant amount of loot. You conquered a fortress full of dark magicians wearing deep blue embroidered robes, and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. Goblin Fortress 1. You conquered a fortress full of goblins clad in bronze armor, and acquired a small amount of loot. Goblin Fortress 2. You conquered a fortress full of goblins clad in silver armor, and acquired a significant amount of loot. Goblin Fortress 3. You conquered a fortress full of goblins clad in gold armor, and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. Orc Fortress 1. You conquered an orc fortress of black tattooed warriors, and acquired a small amount of loot. Orc Fortress 2. You conquered an orc fortress with white tattooed warriors, and acquired a significant amount of loot. Orc Fortress 3. You conquered an orc fortress of red tattooed warriors, and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. Skeleton Fortress 1. You conquered a fortress full of skeletons adorned with bronze attire, and acquired a small amount of loot. Skeleton Fortress 2. You conquered a fortress full of skeletons adorned in silver attire, and acquired a significant amount of loot. Skeleton Fortress 3. You conquered a fortress full of skeletons adorned in gold attire, and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. Templar Fortress 1. You conquered a fortress of Templars wearing bronze armor, and acquired a small amount of loot. Templar Fortress 2. You conquered a fortress of Templars wearing steel armor, and acquired a significant amount of loot. Templar Fortress number 3. You conquered a fortress of Templars wearing black and red painted armor, and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. Okay, we're on masks. Ancient Hero's Mask. A thin blue mask that covers your eyes and gives you the identity of an ancient hero. Bear Mask. Lets you sing ferociously high notes, instilling fear in the surrounding enemies and inspiring allies. Bunny Mask. More of a hat than a mask, as it doesn't cover your face at all, but it gives you bunny ears. Oddly enough, you can run faster while wearing it, but you can no longer jump. Camouflage Mask. A clear mask that lets you blend into any environment if you don't move for a very long time. Chicken Mask. A strange chicken mask given to you by a guy named Richard. I don't know why, but that one does make me laugh a lot. Columbina Mask. A typical mask for a masquerade. Dragon Priest Mask. A mask of a self-proclaimed dragon priest that attacked you. It hums with an unfamiliar energy. Fierce Cricket Mask. When worn, you are able to make fierce cricket noises. Frozen Mask. A mask inside a thick sheet of ice. You haven't been able to melt the ice, so you're not sure what it would do if you put it on. Giant Mask. It's too large to wear. Jaguar Mask. When worn, it gives you the extreme urge to suplex someone. Jester Mask. A colorful but unsettling mask. It gives you the urge to let out maniacal laughter when worn. Mask of Veracity. A man with a creepy smile lent you this mask. You tried it on and couldn't tell if you were going crazy or hearing thoughts of a dog. You didn't like that, so you took it off and kept it in your inventory. Mechanical skeleton mask. A mask that conceals your identity and lets you see from a farther distance. Moon and sun mask. A ceremony mask used in Leodom when a couple gets married. This had to be the most obnoxious mask for you to obtain. You honestly can't even keep track of the weird places you had to be at just the right time, or the amount of different people you had to talk to. The only bright side was seeing a couple have a romantic moment and then get married. They gave you the mask in return for all your help getting them together. Moon face mask. A mask that looks like the moon with big white eyes and an eccentric smile. Gives you the form of a magical and ancient weapon when worn. Not used to reading or talking this long. Plague Doctor mask. A mask of a raven with a large beak. Protects you from sickness when worn. Queen's mask. A steel mask that covers the upper half of your face. You're all around the best character when you wear this. Rock mask. You can finally live out your fantasy to be a rock when you wear this mask. Skull mask. This mask makes you very sad, so you don't like to put it on. Space helmet. It's not a mask, but it sure is cool. Spider mask. It seems to do nothing but scare other people when worn. Tiki mask. You don't wear this mask. It talks to you. Tree spirit mask. A large leaf turned into a mask. When worn, it helps you find the mysterious tree spirits. Two more categories and we're done. Alleyway feather. Found in a small alleyway. Apartment rooftop feather. Found on top of a big apartment building. Backpack feather. Found on a backpack with an audio recording featuring random facts. Bobblehead feather. Found on top of a bobblehead that lets you raise any one of your stats permanently, if you only had stats to raise. Bush feather. You found it hidden between some bushes. Cabin feather. Found behind a cabin. You suddenly felt very claustrophobic and started singing a song. Car feather. This is usually a hard feather to acquire most of the time, but you found the car it was attached to stuck at a stoplight. Cavern feather. Found in a small cavern in Lidlum. Cliffside feather. It was difficult to climb, but you managed to find it on the side of a cliff. Crystalline feather. Quite the sharp feather. Desert feather. Found deep in the infinite wastes. Dusty feather. A feather covered in dust found on top of a small plateau. Easy feather. Found in plain sight in the middle of a road. Feather in a jar. It seems someone's doing experiments on this feather. Forest feather. Found deep in the Vanbrus forest. Grass feather. Found clearly hidden in some grass. Happy pendant. A feather on a necklace. Metal feather. A hardcore feather. Mountain peak feather. In a very gamey way, you were rewarded with this feather for reaching the highest point in the game. Ocean feather. Found in the middle of the Magnus Ocean. Papyrus feather. A drawing of a feather on papyrus. Close enough. Phoenix feather. You get the feeling that this feather will revive you, but you're not willing to test it out. Red feather. Picking this up makes you try to learn Big Bomb and Talon Torpedo. However, you only have up to 4 moves at a time. Picking this up makes you try to learn Big Bomb and Talon Torpedo. However, you only have up to 4 moves at a time. Stop trying to learn Big Bomb and Talon Torpedo. You stopped trying to learn Big Bomb and Talon Torpedo. Rock Feather. You can't explain why, but you're reminded of the fact that you can jump. Shiny Feather. It has a comforting glow. Shopping Cart Feather. Found annoyingly placed in a shopping cart that your hitboxes obviously weren't designed to reach. Sketchy Salesman Feather. Found in a sketchy salesman shop. Streetlight Feather. Found on top of a streetlight. Templar Flag. Far from Roan. It's not a feather, but something about it feels similar to a feather. Tunnel Feather. Found in the tunnels of Lidlum. Tower Feather. Found on top of one of the 4 towers of Leodum walls. Warehouse Feather. It was hiding behind some boxes in a warehouse. So close to being done. Azurius. Ruler of the frogs, approximately the size of a full-grown lion covered in bright blue spots over its ink-black skin. Bird hunters. Adopted to the modern structure of Sky Arch, these snakes can nearly fly. This makes them master hunters of birds, unlucky enough to land on their rooftops. Blue night geckos. Electric blue geckos found in Vanbrus Forest. They can store up energy and let out an electric discharge to scare off predators. The best. Daimar. A monster of a crocodile with skin as hard as a turtle shell. Some say they have seen him breathe fire, but don't let that deter you from trusting him. He has given up his past evil ways. Fire drakes. Fire-breathing drakes of the Chimera mountain range. As terrifying as their fire might seem, they only use it to show off. You get the odd feeling there's ought to be other elemental drakes. Gar. A supposed myth and an icon of the people of Sky Arch due to its ability to perfectly blend into any environment. A large gliding chameleon that blends into rooftops of a Sky Arch when sitting still. Golden Dust Geckos. A small bright green gecko covered in golden spots. Thought to bring good luck, the people of Absentee often keep them as pets. Golden frogs. Small, gold, dangerous. Ice drakes. Their breath is so cold they can shatter a rock by freezing any moisture inside of it. It is thought that there's an even larger population deeper in the caves where people have not carved out a path. You get the odd feeling there's gotta be other elemental drakes. Don't worry, we're almost done. Araski toads. A very bumpy, grumpy species of toads. Oddly territorial. Araski are known to chase other creatures away by repetitively hitting them with their tongues. Leopard geckos. Probably the only good thing about the Infinite Waste is running into one of these. Medium-sized gecko with spotted and bumpy skin that blends very well in a desert. Lightning drakes. Lightning drakes can be found bolting through the sands of Infinite Wastes. While very few people have actually seen one, many have seen their trails of lightning left behind from their speed. You get the odd feeling there's gotta be other elemental drakes. Lever cobras. This species of cobra are actually quite friendly. Their necks can flatten into the shape similar to a heart. Mama Mamba. Though no wider than a grape, no one has seen the end of this mamba. She roams the Infinite Waste, taking care of all her children, too busy to be a threat to people. Mid. A large serpent thought to be a myth. People say they've seen it moving through the mist as if swimming. You saw it playing and gnawing on its tail of all things. Mirror snakes. Masters of stealth. Their skin reflects in a way that their movement looks like light shimmering in the ocean. The only creatures in the glass ocean that are able to avoid Levy's eyes. They swim near the surface of the ocean during the day, looking for fish unlucky enough to swim near them. Nid, a large, ominous-looking dragon, was most likely the antagonist of another story. Fantageckos, gecko demons. Not only can they fly, but they take pleasure in pestering people with their large tails. Luckily, the only other power they have as a demon is blending in with leaves. Sally, a medium-sized salamander covered in black with a few bright yellow spots in their back, the friendliest of them all. Shield pythons, a species of python that have adapted to their lack of fangs and venom by using their adamantite skulls and lightning-quick speed to kill their prey. Much smarter than most snakes, some of the beastmen of the Infinite Waste have even trained the snakes to protect them in combat. Tia, the smallest dragon you've ever seen, and it even has 5 heads. Known as Tia in Sky Arch, she can be seen running around the city pestering people with her most powerful weapon, cuteness. Titanus, queen of the snakes, a boa nearly 15 meters long. A boa nearly 15 meters long. She reigns in the swamp of northern Vanvris Forest, keeping the population of alligators at bay. Oh! That is everything in the journal. But yeah, we have now 100%ed the entire game, including getting the anticlimactic achievement of going 101%. I don't want to read that again. Jesus. I need to rest my voice. Oh, that was a lot of reading. Anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this. This was Open World Game, the Open World game. And that is everything in the game. And if you are curious about it, it is free on Steam. There is one DLC for it if you guys want to help support the 2 developers that made this game. But anyways, I will see you guys all next time. Bye bye.